There are a bunch of great games coming out in 2023, but which one should you be buying? Here's a recommendation for the top 5 games coming out in the first half of 2023. That's right, welcome to the Game House's YouTube channel, and it's time to talk a little bit about gaming. We've got 5 great games coming out all in the first 6 months of the year, and we have some recommendations as to why you should be giving them a look. Here's our first one. Hogwarts Legacy. This game is coming out in just a couple of weeks, and while it is mired in a lot of controversy due to everything that's happened with J.K. Rowling, this game still looks like, for Harry Potter fans, it's going to be potentially one of the best games of all time. It's set in the past where none of the characters really from any of the movies or anything are associated with it. Your player character comes in, I believe it's in year 3, and you're going to get sorted into a house, which I believe there's some questions that are going to be answered and other things like that could help you guide you to a house, but ultimately, kind of like Harry did in the actual movies, you are able to choose any of the 4 houses. And from the gameplay that's been shown so far, this game is already looking like it's going to be probably one of the best games of the entire year. The combat system looks great. The open world looks amazing. All the different quests that are going to be available to players is going to be incredible. And most likely, the story is going to be pretty strong as well. This is the first time we're really seeing an open world Hogwarts game, Harry Potter type game in, I don't know, 20 years basically since the original film started coming out. And I think a lot of fans of the games, of the movies, are going to be pretty excited about this. Again, it is mired in a lot of deserved controversy, and we'll have to see whether or not that's going to affect the sales numbers. But if you're somebody who is just a diehard fan and you want to give this a try, it's going to be coming out in February. So make sure that you're already saving up for one of, again, what should be one of the best games of the year. The second game is one that's maybe not known by a lot of people, but Octopath Traveler took the world by storm as it brought together 8 seemingly random characters from different parts of a world that were, again, seemingly just unconnected. And what it did was it brought back the RPG style, the 8-bit, 16-bit type style that so many people loved growing up, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s. And this game did it with incredible art. It was a great story as well, and no matter which of the 8 paths you chose originally, eventually they would all come together and help you fight the big bad of the entire series. Between having to complete all their different stories and just everything else, there were so many people who just loved this game, the original one, and they've been really looking forward to the second game, which is also coming out in February. February is going to be a busy month, by the way. There's like 20 different games coming out, so if you haven't already started looking, you may need to decide which games you're going to be getting on release, because I expect that February will be probably one of the busiest gaming months in recent memory, as there are release dates abound, and there are plenty of games that are not on this list that I think a lot of people are going to like. Last little bit here for Octopath Traveler is it is a standard RPG, a JRPG, if you will. It's going to feel a lot like, like a Final Fantasy. It's going to look a lot like an older Final Fantasy or an older Pokemon game, just with much better graphics. The world building itself is incredible. The movements are great, and I really think the combat system is pretty fun too. So make sure that you are checking this game out as well. But we move on to our third game here, which is coming out in March, and it's probably the biggest title coming out in March in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. The Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order game was received very warmly for a lot of Star Wars fans that had been very hesitant, to say the least, when EA Games was the ones who had received the Star Wars license to start making games again after Disney had bought them out. And the Battlefront games were pretty much the main things that they had made, and they were pretty bad, to be honest with you. While Battlefront 2 has recovered, that's neither here nor there. So the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order game is set in between episodes 3 and 4 and is basically showing off one of the last Jedi to survive Order 66. And the first game was really good. You follow Cal Kestis, played by the amazing Cameron, I believe it's Monaghan is his name, somebody who you've seen in plenty of TV shows like Gotham, and the other one that I can't remember that has, that's I believe set in Philadelphia and has a bunch of great actors in it. But he does an incredible job bringing this character to life, as he's trying to basically kind of restart the Jedi Order. The end of the last game, which I won't spoil, was one of the better endings to a Star Wars game, especially in maybe since Knights of the Republic 1. And it was truly just a fun slasher, kind of almost Nathan Drake-ish Assassin's Creed style game. And a lot of people are really looking forward to this one because not only is the story going to continue, but I think the combat's going to get better. And it wouldn't surprise me to see this one also up for a lot of potential Game of the Year awards, as there are a ton of Star Wars fans, including probably a lot of you who are watching this video. I know that I'm going to be playing this game as much as I possibly can. I beat the last one and it was pretty awesome. So I'm really looking forward to, rejoining Cal Kestis in the gang and seeing kind of where his story is going to go next, because we know that a couple years after this is going to be all the events of episode 4 with Luke Skywalker and everything, and who knows where Cal Kestis is going to be. Is he going to be alive? Is he going to be dead? Where's he going to be? I have no idea, but he is truly a very interesting character, and the continuation of his story is going to be something worth watching. Now on to probably arguably the biggest game release. You could say arguably because there are so many good ones, but Zelda Breath of the Wild took everybody, not by surprise necessarily, but I think the expectations were already like sky high for that game when it came out on the Switch and on the Wii U, and it was easily Game of the Year. I know that personally my sister has put in like hundreds of hours into it. The first truly open world Zelda game with incredible quests, a really good storyline, and the ability, I think, for people to explore in ways that they had never been able to before. And there's no doubt that fans have been just clamoring for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, as this is the follow-up game to Breath of the Wild. I really wondered if they were going to call it Breath of the Wild 2. They didn't, which is fine, whatever. But this game, you can't see it because it's hidden behind me. It won at the Game Awards for most anticipated game coming up this year. Most of the time, it feels like the creators of Zelda kind of hit the nail on the head. There's rarely a bad Legend of Zelda game, and this one just feels ripe for winning Game of the Year again. We talked already about 2 other games that we think could potentially be in that conversation. I think this one is probably the one that's going to end up winning it, unless if it just lets everyone down. It is set in a sort of different environment, where it looks like you're going to be in the sky, maybe akin to Skyward Sword. And there's no doubt that fans are going to be clamoring for this one because it's a Zelda game, and it's the first one that's come out in nearly 5 years. So expect this one to have been, I think, very well polished and critiqued very heavily to make sure that it is truly one of the best games of 2023. To end it out, a game that has been anticipated for over a decade, Diablo IV, coming from Blizzard for the first time, after so many announcements, delays, all the other newsworthy aspects of what's been happening with Blizzard. They're finally able to complete this game. The top-down RPG third-person view is one of the greatest games of all time. People have loved Diablo 3 for so long. The different stories are great. This one, you're fighting Lilith, the queen of the demons. Feels a little StarCrafty, to be honest with you, at least from the initial onset of things, but that's okay. It seems like generally, at least, Blizzard knows how to tell their stories and bring incredible gameplay along with it. If this game can even live up close to Diablo 3, I think this is maybe one of the only games coming out in 2023 that's going to be able to give Breath of the Wild a run for its money for a few reasons. One, the gameplay's kind of probably be very good. And two, because I don't know that there has been a more anticipated game. Like, people are excited about Breath of the Wild's, return, right? And Tears of the Kingdom, but like Diablo 4 has so many fans that have been waiting again for over a decade for the opportunity to play this game. So I don't know about you guys. These are the 5 games that are just coming out in the first half, by the way, of the year. And there may be some more surprise announcements. We still don't know when Starfield is coming out. There's a lot of games from Bethesda even that are potentially coming out. We don't know what the next Dragon Age is going to look like. 2023 is going to be a great year for games. And, should things change, maybe we'll make a second one of these. But let us know in the comment section below, what are the 5 games that you are most looking forward to coming into 2023? And with that, we'll see you guys on the next one.